In the fast-moving world of news, it's easy to miss the meaning between the lines. That's where we come in. Each episode, we take real headlines from Newsline Philippines and let AI break them down. Not just the what, but the why it matters.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a really surprising election result to talk about today.
Yeah, we're looking at Davao del Norte in the Philippines. It's quite the story.
Definitely feels like a David versus Goliath situation. Our main source here is an article from Newsline Philippines. It's dated May 13th, 2025.
And it details an outcome that, well, it really makes you stop and think.
It does. So what we want to do in this deep dive is figure out, what happened? How did a young, relatively unknown candidate manage this?
Right, against a very seasoned, very powerful political veteran.
Exactly. What allowed Clarice Jubahib, 25 years old, fresh out of Ateneo, no previous elected office, how did she win?
And win the vice gubernatorial race for Davao del Norte's first district, no less.
Against Pantaleon Alvarez. It's pretty incredible.
And maybe, what does this tell us, if anything, about broader shifts, and what voters are looking for? That's the mission today, basically.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Clarice Jubahib, as I said, 25, Ateneo grad, daughter of the sitting governor, Edwin Jubahib.
Right, Jubahib. So there's a family connection.
There is, but zero elected experience herself.
And then you have her opponent, Pantaleon Alvarez.
A political heavyweight. Former House Speaker.
Which is what, the fourth highest position in the government?
Okay.
That's significant power and influence.
Absolutely. A lawyer, multiple terms as congressman for that exact district. Known for pushing federalism, a key player during the Duterte years.
So you couldn't ask for a starker contrast in terms of experience and political profile.
Not really, and the article calls it a stunning upset. The numbers really back that up, don't they?
They certainly do. Jubahib pulled in nearly 208,000 votes, while Alvarez got around 110,000. Just over 110,056.
So almost double. That's not just winning, that's a landslide, practically.
It's a very convincing margin. It definitely signals something significant happened there.
Yeah, and the article suggests it's maybe more than just swapping one person for another. It hints at something deeper.
Well, it talks about a possible shift, maybe generational, or perhaps in value.
Explain that a bit.
Jubahib's campaign really hammered home themes of sincerity, and service.
Okay.
Which is maybe a contrast to the established long-term political career of Alvarez. It positions her differently.
So the idea being voters might be tired of traditional politics, looking for something more authentic.
Possibly. Or at least perceived as more authentic and service-focused. Her whole campaign strategy seemed built around that.
How so? What does she actually do?
The article highlights very direct community engagement. Like really getting out there.
Boots on the ground stuff.
Exactly. Spending time listening to people's concerns, distributing food packs, meeting with different groups. Very hands-on.
And she adopted that nickname, a Kang Klang.
Yeah, meaning big sister. It creates this relatable, approachable image.
That makes sense. And her slogan.
Atong sulanan ang serbisyong para sa tanan.
Which means?
Let's strive to provide service to everyone. Again, reinforcing that core message.
It's interesting. The article points out, rather than attack, she chose to listen.
That is quite different, isn't it? Especially in politics, which can get pretty negative.
Very different. But she must have faced criticism, right? About her age, her inexperience, the family connection.
Oh, definitely. The article mentions the budding dynasty concern and her lack of track record.
And her response.
Seems pretty direct. She's quoted saying something like, "I understand the doubts, but I'll prove myself through service."
So acknowledging it, but pivoting back to her core message.
Exactly. Leaning into the service aspect as the answer to the criticism.
She also seemed to really emphasize the youth angle.
Yes, there's that quote, "Ang kabataonan ng pag-asa ng ating lalawigan."
The youth are the hope of our province.
Right, and linking her candidacy to that hope. It seems like that message really landed with voters, given the outcome.
Well, becoming one of the youngest vice governors in the country certainly suggests the province bought into it.
It does. And it wasn't just her victory, was it? Her father also won his race.
That's right. Governor Edwin Jubahib was reelected.
So it suggests broader support for the Jubahib name, or at least their platform, in Davao del Norte right now.
A real family success story politically.
Potentially the start of a significant new political force in the region, you could say.
The article uses some really punchy language to describe this. Phrases like, defied all odds and toppled a political titan.
Captures the drama, doesn't it?
And in a stunning upset, the fresh Ateneo graduate defeated former House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez.
It emphasizes that contrast, again, the newcomer versus the giant.
And this line really stuck with me. But this time, Alvarez was no match for a young woman armed only with sincerity and service.
That really sums up the narrative the article presents. Sincerity and service as her weapons, so to speak.
And Jubahib herself, at a proclamation, said, "This victory is not mine alone. Ito ay tagumpay ng bawat tabono na naghangad ng tunay ang pagbabago."
Which means?
This is the triumph of every Davaoeño who longs for genuine change.
Framing it not just as her win, but as the people's desire for change. That connects back to the value shift idea.
Yeah, the article explicitly says her victory wasn't just a generational shift, but a values shift.
So it's suggesting something fundamental might be changing in what the electorate prioritizes.
Okay, let's zoom out then. Why does this specific election matter beyond Davao del Norte? What are the bigger takeaways for you listening?
Well, I think it signals a potential crack in the dominance of, let's say, established political machinery.
Voter fatigue, maybe, with long-serving, powerful figures.
Could be. Or perhaps a growing desire for leaders who project authenticity and a genuine focus on service, even if they lack decades of experience.
It sort of flips the script on experience being the ultimate qualification.
It certainly challenges that notion. It suggests qualities like connection, perceived sincerity, and a service orientation might be weighing more heavily for some voters now.
And the Jubahib family's success, that points to them being a major force to watch there now.
Definitely. Her youth, her campaign style, it's a real contrast to traditional politics in many ways.
And it raises the possibility, doesn't it? Could we see more young, maybe unexpected candidates successfully challenging incumbents elsewhere?
It's a possibility. It shows that pathways exist for newcomers if they can tap into a changing voter mood.
And she's set to take office soon, right? June 30th is the inauguration date mentioned.
Yes, so the transition is underway. It'll be interesting to see how she governs.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core takeaway seems to be a young, politically inexperienced candidate managed a huge upset against a powerful incumbent.
Right, and she did it with a campaign centered squarely on sincerity and service.
Which suggests voters, at least in this instance, might be shifting their priorities away from just experience towards, well, something else.
Perceived authenticity, perhaps. A desire for genuine change, as her quote suggests.
So here's something to think about. Could this Davao del Norte result be a sign of a bigger trend? Are electorates starting to value perceived authenticity and a service mindset more than a long political resume?
And if so, what does that mean for the future? How campaigns are run, who runs for office, what qualities we look for in leaders? It's definitely food for thought.